that whole, if it doesn't make the calendar, it doesn't happen. And I was at the Sprint in Denver last month, and Glenn Glenn had a session, and it was just really around success habits. And he really said, really what your habits are is what's in your calendar. And he said, if you don't have or keep a calendar, then that says a lot about what your habits are. And just the way he articulated it, it really resonated. And we've always had the little saying, show me your calendar, and I know what your revenue is going to be kind of in the next 90 days. And so it's the same thing, right? Show me your calendar, and I kind of know what your habits are. I know kind of where you're going to be business. I know kind of where you're going to be with your relationships. I kind of know where you're going to be with your your fitness and your health. So I just think it's super, super important. Like you said, I don't think you have to go, as detailed and crazy like Tony Robbins, who has every 15 minutes, calendared out. Yet there needs to be a specific amount of detail that's captured within there. And for example, right, with your agents, you said prospecting. Our thing was like, okay, well, who are you prospecting to?
Yeah, and that's got to be declared. The biggest issue with prospecting, which is something going into this market, everybody really is going to need to do, is like love on their database and prospect and do the things the hard things that no agent wants to do. But the thing that I find as a leader, the biggest issue is when they sit down to prospect at 9 or 10 or 8, whenever it is, they don't know who they're calling. So that hour is eaten up by like, wait, who am I going to call? Do I need to call this person? Do I need to call that person? And we just did, Monday Mayhem, which is 8 hours of prospecting every Monday for 4 Mondays. And we huddled on Sunday night to get really clear on like what's happening tomorrow. What dialing pond are you calling? Who is it? So that when you sit down, you know exactly what you're doing. And that's like preparation, your Sunday prep for the week. I try and get my agents in the habit of like the night before the day, check your calendar so you can prepare for what's to come, the following day, and just get your head in the game. It's important. I think it really is important, especially as you're scaling, because I always thought, as an agent, because I love production, I always thought, I know exactly what I have to do. I got to be here. I got to be here. But then it only takes like one time where the client's like, hey, are you coming? It's like, oh my God, and I got there. I was that agent that was so unorganized. I was double booking myself. I wasn't where I was supposed to be. And it was a mess. So, I think you got to feel that pain.
Most organized, unorganized, right? until it's not, right? And it's like, okay, there it is.
Right? Like, you're not busy. You're chaotic busy.
Right.
Like you're just always trying to keep up. Yeah.
You're so reactive. And what happens too with that is that you end up on other people's agendas. You end up on other people's schedules instead of being proactive and on your agenda, your schedule. And it really is important. And I think it's one of those skills, right, that you develop and it gets better over time. It's always progress. It's never perfection. I mean, I'm always tinkering with my calendar. In fact, next week, same as you, right? It's just a reset week for me. And one of the things that's on my big thing for next week is reset the calendar, refocus, reset the calendar, things that I've learned this year that I don't like, things that I know I want, where I need to capture more space to do certain things that are priorities for me, given where I'm at. And I think that's the key thing with agents, and just depending upon kind of where you're at, right? Your 3 key priorities are different than an agent on your team that's in the trenches, that's trying to close, 2.5 deals a month, is different than what your obligations are. And it's the same thing with Bruce, and Bruce's obligations are a little bit different. And so it's always like, what is most important now is where I need to make sure that that's allocated in the calendar based upon the season of the business, season of the year, season of your life. So there's a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, like this season, it's dark here at 4:30. So it's like the schedule day to day is so much different than when you have daylight till 9 o'clock,
Right.
So it's just, you got to tweak it. And I think the biggest issue with calendars, with agents, probably in any industry, is that you're trying to mirror someone else's calendar and you don't own that. I'm like, just because they prospect from 8 to 9, like if that doesn't work for you, like don't put that on your calendar. You know,
Right.
we have an agent that's a new agent who's crushing it. She prospects from 7:30 to 8:30 every single day religiously because that's the time she has because she has 2 kids. And I'm like, whatever it is that works for you, that is yours. And I
Right.
think everybody's trying to like copy John Kitchen's calendar or this person's calendar, and it doesn't fit. They don't own it. It's not
Right.
exactly what they want to do, and it doesn't work for their lifestyle. Therefore, you know, they're not going to win. They're not going to win with it.
Well, they're going to give up on it, right? They're not going to stay committed to it because it's not theirs. It's not aligned to their goals, where they're at, their life right now, right? And you know, that agent that's going from 7:30 to 8:30, that's not forever. That'll change
Yeah.
because life will change. And I think the biggest thing, you know, Lindsay, is just uncovering or kind of just doing the math on the required amount of hours needed performing specific tasks, and then making sure that number of hours is met in the calendar each week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's crazy, right? You know, a lot of agents think they're getting into real estate for freedom. And yet they don't maintain and control their time to allow for true freedom. That's the key.
I
Yeah.
was telling Dan and Kyle, you know, I said, of all the things that I've gotten, right, which is a lot, the greatest thing I've learned, the greatest gift that I feel like the growth has given me is my freedom, is my time, you know, and I've worked really hard to try and pull some of that time back. And I remember Dan's like, you have to earn your weekends back in this business, because for 13 years, I worked 7 days a week. I mean, with sun up to sundown, I was working. And
Right.
we probably talked about this. My daughter was like, the only time we see you is when you're walking out the door.
Right.
And that was like, you know,
Gotcha.
yeah. So I am trying to like earn the time back with my family and be present, and which is something that you have to sacrifice a little bit in this business when you're getting on your feet.
Yeah.
So
And I think
yeah,
it's also right. It's hard to make a change without awareness. And so sometimes we need that gut punch, like your daughter saying that to you, or, you know, hey, how come every time we're together, you're always on your phone? You know, those little comments like that creates awareness. Now, once you have the awareness, you have the ability to do whatever you want. You can
yeah,
continue to keep running out the door. You can continue to stay on your phone, or you can or you can make the change and do, you know, not do that, be more present. And I think that's, you know, one of the things that we challenged a lot of our clients, definitely in the mastermind settings. The biggest challenge I pushed on everybody for quite a while was, you know, the challenge of balance. And my definition that I subscribe to for balance is just being present wherever you're at.
yeah.